Hi everyone, Black Hat Badgers here from Badger and the Blood Queen, and I'm doing a Hulk guide and breakdown. Gonna be going over his kind of role within a party, some of his play style, going into a lot of detail about combos for Hulk. He has some really good ways to extend his combos and keep the damage going, keep status effects up, and also get those stun meters built up for you and your team to get a lot of those takedowns and keep the benefits rolling. We'll also be looking at some of his skills, gear, and major artifacts that make good choices and really enhance Hulk's playstyle. So right off the bat, Hulk functions great primarily as the tank of the team. He has more ways than any other character to taunt enemies and make sure all the attention's on him. Now, with that being said, he's still a balanced character in the game, so you have to be very defensively savvy. You have to be paying attention for your parry windows and when to dodge, because everything's going to be coming at you and everything's still going to hurt. There are skills and gear pieces that can mitigate the threat of this, but again, you still have to be very defensively, especially when playing a more so tank build. Hulk also really works great as one of the best status effect builders in the game. He has gamma status just inherent in most of his or in some of his special moves, and can be specialized for that as well. With just even a little bit of intensity, he makes or he builds status effect bars really fast, opening up big numbers of damage for yourself and teammates using the battery effect. He's also works great as a support role, for sure. He's got a lot of ways to get health regen, not only for himself, but dropping health regen orbs for the rest of the party to pick up. And also other artifact and skill choices just accentuate this. So he works great in many of those roles. Playstyle wise, you kind of always want to be in the thick of it, especially in the tank build. If you're going just more so for damage, you want to kind of stay around the outside of a wave and then wedge your way in. Ideally, your teammates will be taking care of any ranged enemies, turrets, and anybody getting around the side of you. So we're going to queue up a group of mercenaries, a bunch of them, and we have it set to God mode just so we can show the functionality of some of his movesets. So we're going to go ahead and start that. Now, he has a 4-hit light attack string, which hits a wide array of enemies in front of him, builds status really quick, and if you're geared for it, that last hit will build status as well. Now, that's not his most reliable way of building status, but it does come out very quickly. The 4th hit of the combo also guard breaks, but unless you're really paying attention for the parry window, this can take a bit long and leave you open. His heavy attack combo is really good for any enemies in front of him and can pop up for juggle combos, and if an enemy can survive it, you jump up and you can get a good aerial combo, and if you're spec'd, you get status effects off the last hit of that as well. Now, his combo enders, the last hit of the 4-hit light string and the heavy hit of the 4-hit light string, send enemies flying, and isn't really great for keeping a combo going unless you're near a wall. If you're near a wall, enemies launched by his light attack finisher and heavy attack finisher will bounce off the wall, and you can keep combos going that way. I'll see if I can demonstrate that now. Bink, off the wall. Oh, no, he just died. But you get the point. You can wall bounce enemies and keep your combos extended and keep going from there. He's also got his grab move. This is one of the most reliable ways to break shields as Hulk, which is very important. This also builds status effects on light combo finishers. As you can see, that raised the status bar almost to full, and you can go right into, if you have a opposing status effect, big damage from there, or like I said, set up your teammates. Now, one of the best ways to extend Hulk's combos is to mix in 1 or 2 hits of his light with 1 to 2 hits of his heavy. Okay? So you can go 1, 1, 2, 2, right back into the 1, 1 combo. Okay? And this will clear waves very reliably. Another way to extend the combo is to pick up a rock on the 2nd or 3rd hit. Because the 3rd hit, if you go triangle, goes right into the heavy finisher, and that's the big knockback. Unless we're against a wall, we don't want that. So 1, 1, smash, smash, 1, 2, 3, rock pickup, keep your combo going. And picking up the rock is another great way to break enemy shields. Your 1-2 punch will keep them staggered long enough that they can't retaliate, and gives you enough time to pick up a rock and break their shield. Hulk has one other way outside of power attacks, so we'll just illustrate that right quick. Get that rock out of here. We got a bunch of shielded enemies. Look, they're blocking all of it. 1, 2, 3, not working. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, pick up a rock, bash, that shield is gone. Okay, now the other way, and the easiest, but this does require you use his rage meter, is the 2nd attack of his light hit combo will break shield. So, blocked. Oh, blocked. Now the 1, 2. Oh, we need some more rage. We're just going to beat on this guy for a second. I'm going to beat on this guy for a second. Now, 1, 2. There goes his shield, and we're free to keep our combos going. So let's see here. Bam, pick up a rock, smash that shield. And another way you can extend combos is to throw in a dodge attack. 1, 2, 3, dodge, bam. Right back into 2, 3, bam. 2, 3, bam. Okay, so that is using 1, 2, light, 1, 2, 3, rock, and then 1, 2, 3, dodge, dodge attack. Okay, and as said, the pop-up here can lead to big aerial combos and status damages on that finishers. And the other way, grabbing enemies and getting rid of shields with enemies you're holding. Okay. Now, his power attacks they're great. Big AoE damage on his power attacks. We're just going to get rid of these flyers here. As I said earlier, Hulk's probably biggest weakness is the flyers, and having teammates that have better ranged than Hulk, which is most of them, to deal with them is key. He's by far the hardest character to play solo because of this reason. You can get swarmed out by drones, and they'll take you down if you're not careful. So his power attacks, we've got the ground smash leading into the smash combo, and one more hit, bam. Now the first and last attacks count as the power attacks, and they can build up more status damage if you're geared for that, which by the end game you should have some status effects out. Now another key trick here is using the jumping charged power attack. This way, you don't have to deal with many parries, but you're still vulnerable um, to air attacks. So I would recommend sticking with the options discussed earlier. The using other or lighter characters to break shields. Oh, he's just dead. And using the rocks. The rock breaks shields so well. Look at it. All shields down. No problem. Okay. And another good move of his, taking out the large debris, which you can also do off the 1-2 combo. If you stagger them with the 1-2, pick up the big rock, they won't be able to recover from the stagger in time to interrupt your rock pull. Now, another good move is pulling out the rock, doing the jump, square, into the aerial power attack. Big stagger, this will take care of most enemies on the ground, and just look at that, opens them up to big status damage, and if they survive, pull out the rock again, and more status damage from the battery effect. So, and I use the shoulder charge a lot as an opener for my combos, just for the stagger this does. And even if they're shielded, it will stagger them enough that you can get the rock out. Break the shield, or if you have the rage for it, hit them with the raging 1-2, and that will also take care of shields. Okay, so we're just going to finish out this wave here. And rock throw. Rock throw. That little icon above the heads means those characters specifically are taunted and they are coming for me. So we got the next wave coming in. And I'm just going to have a little fun for a sec. Boom. There we go. So that's kind of just some quick tips about Hulk's melee moves. And we're going to pause this for a second. We're just going to take a quick look at his specialties and masteries. So his support ability, Bone Shaker, already does decent damage, is the initial source of taunt Hulk has, and it also breaks shields, does good damage, high impact, and decent stagger. This can be upgraded to increase the duration. Hulk is immune to status effects while Bone Shaker is active, and further increases the duration. This is important for those enemies that have daze moves or suppression. Hulk is not affected by those while Bone Shaker is active. That can really turn the tide of a fight for your team. And also, enemies affected by Bone Shaker take more stun damage. So for his first support specialization, you can choose between defeating 5 enemies, extends its duration by 5 seconds, defeat 5 enemies while it's active to restore all willpower, keep that health up, and defeat 5 enemies while Bone Shaker is active to instantly refill the intrinsic rage energy. So keeping rage up and keeping it overcharged just makes you more defensive, makes it so you can break shields easier, and increased health regen and damage. For option 2, defeating enemies who are taunted by Bone Shaker causes them to drop regen packs. Really good for a support-based Hulk to get those health packs to drop for the rest of your team and yourself should you need it. Defeating enemies who are taunted by Bone Shaker causes them to drop heroic orbs. Kind of the go-to ability for this option, I feel. Especially because Hulk has a slightly harder time than the rest of the cast regenning his heroic abilities outside of specific gear builds. And attacks from taunted enemies have reduced impact, so they're less likely to stagger you and break you out of your combos. Really good for a tank-based Hulk. On to Stranglehold. Hulk runs down and does a big ground pound that does big damage, lots of stun, and as well breaks guard. It launches lighter enemies that, if they survive, they're set up for juggle combos. Uh, Gives you higher crit chance, and along with that, later on, Stranglehold will regen your willpower based on damage done, and will grant you bonus rage, also depending on damage done. The first specialization tree gives you a 50% chance defeating an enemy will generate a heroic orb, keeping your abilities up and running. Deals 200% more stun damage at the end when you do the final ground pound. This is ridiculous. Everything around you in the wave gets stunned, and you and your teammates just get it's welcome to Takedown City. The third option on the first specialization is really, really good for a status effect build. The area around where you get the final hit becomes irradiated with gamma particles, and enemies take damage over time as well as build up the gamma status effect. On to the second specialization. The first being defeating an enemy gives you a 50% chance to drop a regen pack, again keeping that support build going. Stranglehold also taunts nearby enemies and overcharges the rage ability. So you get immediate health regen, more defense, more damage, and keeping the enemy's attention away from your teammates and on you. The third option is a second charge of the Stranglehold ability. His heroic, the Thunderclap, one of my favorite ultimates in the game. Just huge damage all over the place, sends most things flying and breaks all shields. It increases the damage later on, and also will destroy projectiles that are coming your way. So if you're low health, for whatever reason, and that last missile you see coming your way, and you have the ultimate up, might as well hit it, get rid of that projectiles that could be coming for you or your teammates, and do big damage across the screen. The first specialization option, Epicenter, increases the distance of the shockwave by 30%. So the farther it reaches, the more enemies it hits, the more damage you're putting on screen. Thunderclap, Ground Zero makes Thunderclap, similar to the other Stranglehold ability, irradiate the area around you, not only doing damage and building status effects, but also regenning willpower, your health, for your teammates within the area. So really good for status and support builds. The last option is focusing the Thunderclap into a narrower area of effect, more so like right in front of you, but does more stun damage and more damage to enemies' health. The next option, there's a 50% chance defeating enemies with Thunderclap will cause them to drop regen packs. Once again, great for that support build and keeping the health going. Next is 50% chance defeated enemies with Thunderclap drop heroic orbs. Once again, self-explanatory. And enemies who survive Thunderclap, which isn't often, are taunted. So all of his heroics, the support, assault, and ultimate, have options for taunting enemies. And I mean, if you're playing the tank build, that's the way to go for that. Onto his masteries very quickly. These give bonuses to his attack strings when he's holding enemies after the grab. And the takedown specialization, of course, granting regen packs on takedown, heroic orbs, or for Hulk, recovers health after a takedown. The grab specialization increases damage and impact of held enemies. So not only when you swing an enemy are you doing more damage, you're also having a more intense stagger reaction, keeping enemies locked down and less likely to attack back. 15% improved chance to grab evasive enemies, and slamming enemies held with heavy attacks has a 15% chance to generate regen packs. The other option includes Vice Grip. Attacks with held enemies are now protected from interruption from enemy attacks. However, the damage will still be applied. So enemy attacks can't interrupt your combo strings, but you're still taking damage. But again, that's largely mitigated by all the defense and health regen Hulk has built into him. Held enemies take 30% less damage on hit with light grab combos. So it just means you can keep your combo strings going longer without having to pick up as many enemies. And then the shield, holding R2 while holding a grabbed enemy, absorbs incoming damage. For his ranged ability, we have thrown debris, more stun over a wider area. The next one is Bedrock, increases damage from small debris by 15%, and enemies can be pinned by small debris. And then Wrecking Ball, large debris thrown, the power ranged attack, can pin enemies and just wipe right through a wave. Very good option. Increases ranged attack damage for the second option by 15%, just a good flat bonus increase. Thrown enemies travel faster and inflict 15% more damage against combatants they hit. Personally, I think this is kind of a weak option because thrown enemies don't do much damage anyways, and you're just kind of better off hitting with a power attack to finish off low health held enemies and build more status effect. Meteor damage increases damage by 15% when using the large debris as a thrown projectile. Hand Cannon from the third specialization option increases light and heavy attack damage done by 33.3% when using small debris as a melee weapon. So using the light and heavy attacks when you're holding the little rock just gets more damage. And you should be doing this fairly regularly because, like I said, it extends combos and can build up status effects. So this is a great option. Increases speed of picking up both large and small debris chunks by 15%. I find this very helpful, especially, I don't think it's necessary to avoid counterattacks when you're staggering into the rock pickup, but very helpful, especially if you've got a wave of aerial enemies and your teammates are occupied or you're playing solo. And then increases the durability of large debris chunks by 33.3% when using the melee light and heavy attacks. Another amazing option. Just means when you pick up the rock and you start spinning around with it, you can do that more times without having to pick up another one. His intrinsic ability options. The first one, you can pick between increasing charge rate of his heroic meters by 15% while rage is active. Increases willpower recovery by 10% while rage is active and dealing damage, or increases your defensive attributes by 15% while rage is active. The second mastery option, the damage specialization, increases all damage by 15% while rage is active, just a flat damage increase. This here increases damage of light and heavy combo finishers by 25% while you're raging. Again, I feel like this is a bit more niche because you should really be only using the light and heavy finishers for status effects unless you're keeping your or because you're keeping your combos going with other options. The other thing is using your combo finishers for status effects. And Enhanced Bludgeon increases damage by 15% when using an enemy as a melee weapon while rage is active. And the Efficiency Specialization, option 1, increases the intrinsic energy gained by 15% when defeating combatants with held enemies. So the faster you're building rage when you're using an enemy as a melee weapon. And then reducing the initial cost of triggering rage by 15%. And then increasing the maximum amount of intrinsic rage energy by 15%. Now onto his overcharge options. We have increases impact while overcharged. And overcharged is when your rage meter is full, and then you fill out the 2 bars on the side of that. That will keep rage active while the meters are filled, increasing your health recovery, increasing your defense, and increasing your damage. Now, with this option, that also increases impact on enemies from your attacks. So they're staggered more and are less likely to recover and counterattack you, interrupting your combo. Increases critical attack chance by 15% while overcharged, and increases defensive strength by 15% while overcharged. And the damage specialization increases all damage by 20% while overcharged, just a flat damage boost to everything you do. Increases stun damage by 30%. This is really big. You get takedowns really fast and can set up your teammates for takedowns as well. And the increases status damage while overcharged by 30%. Essential if you're doing a status damage build. You should be overcharged as often as you can, and this will just maximize the amount of status damage you're doing, once again setting up yourself and teammates for battery effect damage and getting those huge multipliers. The last overcharge options are Hothead, increases the amount of overcharged intrinsic rage meter energy gained for all attacks by 20%. So you're just building up that overcharge meter as fast as you can with all the attacks you do. Now, Pancake increases overcharge energy gained by takedowns by 50%. So you get a takedown on an enemy and that overcharge meter skyrockets. That's really big. And the last one reduces the rate at which overcharged energy drains, allowing you to stay overcharged longer. Now, this is good because if you're in a big map or you're going from area to area in a hive, this can keep your overcharged effect in play longer. Again, just keeping you more defensive, your health up, and your damage high. Now, some key champion effects. I rush the defense boost for all of my characters right off the bat, but big shout outs. You don't need the maximum health or the health recovery so much for Hulk because, again, you have so much built-in health regen. But big shout outs are chance to activate perks, increasing the charge rate of heroics by 2.5%. Again, Hulk charges his heroics a little bit slower without gear than the other heroes, so this is a really good one for Hulk. Now, possibly the best one for Hulk is permanently boosting all stun and status damage by 2% per rank. Now, this is big because, again, more stun equals more takedowns equals more health regen, heroics, intrinsic overcharge, and more status damage if you're going for the status build for Hulk. Critical attack chance is good for everybody, but not essential for Hulk. Critical damage, good option, but again, not perfect. Permanently boost heroic damage, really good for Hulk. And then ranged, not as necessary. Ranged, you're more so looking to knock things out of the sky, extend combos while you run enemies down, and permanently boost melee damage, of course, very important on Hulk. Now, onto gear. Generally, I like to have opposing status effects on my melee and ranged gear, just so I can activate the battery effect and get big damage multipliers myself. Other key perks to look for are damage buffs, defense buffs. We got heroic charge bursts are really good, specifically on perfect evade, because you should be evading as much as you can. Parries, of course, clutch, but can be a little bit more difficult. Just because Hulk is so big, if you're in some of the cramped areas, it can be a lot harder to see the parry prompt on enemies. So if you kind of get the rhythm down, evading as Hulk is generally the way to go. And then, of course, anything like I have the Planet Cracker Neuronics. This is really good. Increases the damage dealt to taunted enemies by 20%. And if you're playing the tank build, you should have as many enemies taunted as possible, so just more damage all around. And then, of course, recharge rate on heroic abilities is always clutch. Now, the major artifacts for Hulk, we have some really good options here. These are very, very build dependent, however. If you're going for status effects, I mean, Ant-Man, the Void Tech Transponders, always really good. But specifically for this, doing a bunch of particle effects, increasing the duration of the effects, and then just bringing Hank Pym to hit enemies with more Pym particles. So really good on the status build. The Sacred Nornstone of Obsidian Spirit gives you a big defense buff. Really good on support and tank builds for Hulk. The Tactagon, once again, an amazing option for a status damage Hulk. And Ring of the Nibelung, probably the best item for support Hulk. You're increasing the amount orbs restore for heroic, regen, health regen, and intrinsic meter. A higher chance defeating enemies will drop random orbs that your teammates can also pick up. And the final perk, clicking in the left and right sticks, drops a big chunk of regen packs, heroic orbs, and intrinsic orbs. So if your teams had a rough time with an elite unit, dropping this after the fight can top everybody back up. Or in the middle of the fight, if things are looking a little hairy, you can drop it then. Now, this is my secret for my Hulk build, is using Darkhold. That blend of science and sorcery really kicks up his damage output. Now, this one was a bit tricky for me to get, but basically, if you have heroic energy, any of your heroics are good to go, and you have less than 50% health, you can click in on the sticks to drain that heroic bar and refill your health. A good, not get out of jail free card, but you know what I mean. Now, the second option is, this is what makes my build just... if you have over 50% health, but less than 99, and you have no heroic energy, clicking the left and right thumbstick will drop your health down, but refill all of Hulk's heroics. And his heroics just build back his health really quick anyways. Yeah, this is amazing. I will demonstrate this right now. So here we've got like a big wave of enemies. And no heroic. So if I just imagine I've Stranglehold, you run in, you lay down a bunch of damage, you activate Bone Shaker, you taunt everybody, and then you click the Thunderclap, but not everybody's dead. Maybe you missed some elites. Boom. Darkhold, health is down, heroics are back up. We get another Thunderclap right quick. We can run down stragglers from that, and we can drop another Bone Shaker to taunt any other enemies that survived. And look at this, just ridiculous damage, and just being able to chain 6 heroic abilities together on Hulk is ridiculous. So I hope this helped you, give you some ideas for how you want to play your Hulk. There are a variety of different ways that you can, and yeah, I'd like to hear about any tips that you might have. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you later, Avengers. Cheers.